Yeah, it's making some sense now, I think.
Hello! I hope your day is well. I'm trying to force myself to be more energetic, or else my mental state won't be able to keep up. Ugh, my heart's thumping like crazy. I might as well have a laid-back, so what attitude and go ahead with high energy. Yeehaw! Ah, but be careful that your batteries don't run out for various reasons. And just like I say each time, don't forget to save frequently.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking after that.
I never expected the funhouse itself to be the ultimate weapon. Oh well, let's just press on ahead.
Oh, you got over that quickly.
Is it really alright to accept a situation so easily? I mean, that's not what's important. The thing that's really important is the killer who used the building structure. Like, who's Mekumaru's murderer?
But is it really okay to believe the building is the weapon? Nagito said it, you know.
There's no way I'd lie at such an important moment. I don't want to die either.
What happened to the bastard who kept saying how much they didn't mind dying?
He's right. There was a time when I thought I could become a stepping stone for your hopes, but I will sincerely retract that remark.
Retract?
I'm disappointed too, you know. If this was a murder for the sake of hope, I'd happily sacrifice myself.
You say such falsehoods, per usual. There is no such thing as murder for the sake of hope. Murder is simply murder. Forcibly sacrificing others for one's own desires. Even one as diabolical as I would avoid such actions.
I see.
It's fine. Let's just leave him alone and find out who killed Coach Nekomaru as fast as we can. Just so you know, it's not like I'm getting hungry or anything, you know.
Akane! You were drooling waterfalls?
Nagato. As usual, I can't tell what he's thinking. I have no idea if he's serious or not.
Anyway, if the killer used the building structure, why don't we think about how they used it?
How they killed Nekomaru.
It might be better if we clarify the cause of death first, don't you think?
Nekomaru's cause of death, huh? He was horribly damaged, as if he was beaten senseless with a blunt object. But if he was beaten with a blunt object, it wouldn't be a kill that utilized the building structure. So what was his cause of death that also utilized the building structure? Falling, crushed by the elevator. It's not dead battery. It's not beaten with a blunt object, so we just said it's not that. Crushed by the elevator. That can't happen. Because he was on the floor, he wouldn't have been under it, and it doesn't go up high enough that he would be crushed by it, so falling?
Let's see. That's it. I think he might have died from falling.
Died from falling?
If the funhouse's secret is that it's a structure where both towers and houses are vertically connected, then the killer made use of its height and caused Nekomaru to die from falling.
Are you saying they pushed him off? Where'd they push him off from?
That, I don't know yet.
They pushed him out the strawberry house door while the elevator was at Grape House?
Don't just make things up when you don't know the method.
But that doesn't explain the pillar.
Where in that building would you even be able to push someone off in the first place?
It might be possible in the tower. You could push him off the 4th floor when the elevator is on the 1st floor.
Yeah, that.
Did you forget how the elevator functions? When it's on the 1st floor, the door on the 4th floor won't open.
Someone opened it.
Saying he died from falling is truly incorrect. You should burn in the flames of hell.
But my gut is going crazy right now.
If Nekomaru died from falling, where did the killer shove Nekomaru from? If I'm going to reach the truth behind this incident, I need to solve that mystery next. Goodnight button, Akane's account, Fuyika's account, contact elevator, broken doorknob.
When the elevator is on the first floor, you can't go through the door on the fourth floor.
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from up there.
Then, how about this? After locking Mekamaru inside the elevator, they moved the elevator from the fourth floor to the first floor and made use of the drop.
Hold on, did you forget the elevator has a sensor? As long as there's a moving object inside, the other door won't open. Which means the elevator wouldn't have moved either.
He wasn't moving.
That must be the threshold of that elevator.
Remember we were talking before he didn't want his goodnight button hit when we were trying to switch rooms when Chiaki left the e-handbook in there. I need to make it clear so they understand that Nekomaru fell to his death. Looks like it's all up to me. I'm gonna try the goodnight button.
When the elevator is on the first floor, you can't go through the door on the fourth floor.
Okay.
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from up there.
Then, how about this? After locking Mekamaru inside the elevator, they moved the elevator from the fourth floor to the first floor and made use of the drop.
Hold on, did you forget the elevator has a sensor?
Yeah, this
As long
part.
as there's a moving object inside.
No, that's wrong.
There we go.
That sensor should only work if something is moving. If Nekomaru wasn't moving inside, the elevator sensor wouldn't have detected anything.
Could it be his sleep mode?
When Nekomaru's goodnight button is pressed, all of his functions shut down, and he enters sleep mode. If he's in sleep mode, the elevator sensor wouldn't have noticed him, right?
I see. So that's how...
However, even if they moved the elevator in that manner, Nekomaru would have just moved along with it. There would have been no drop for him to fall and die from. Yes?
That's what I was about to explain before Kazuichi interrupted me. Silence, pest!
Now you're calling me a pest?
Way to create the drop inside the elevator while Nekomaru is still in it. Chiaki seems to have an idea, but what way could that be? Wire, goodnight button, oil on the floor, tipped over pillar, new looking hammer, chain, broken doorknob.
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is... The hammer is suspicious.
No,
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
I don't think it's a
What
pillar.
about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
How about we all shut up and listen to what Chiaki has to say?
Silence, pest!
Don't be so cold. What if I start to enjoy it?
Did Chiaki not actually say anything? Nekomaru is inside the elevator. How can you create a difference in elevation? Wire
If you arrange
on
it a
the...
certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
wire on the
The
doorknob.
arrangement is... The hammer is suspicious.
It's not the hammer. Hammer's not gonna
Isn't
do
it about
anything.
time we went over the pillar again?
I don't think it's the pillar.
What about the oil on the floor?
It wouldn't be the oil because this is blood.
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
Oh, stupid white noise. Ooh, I just
I
caught
agree
it.
with that.
I didn't think I'd get it if I tried again.
Didn't the doorknob have scrape marks on it? That might have been where it got scraped by the wire.
Is that the same wire that was tied around Nekomaru?
The tip of that wire was tied into a loop. If the elevator moved while that loop part hung from the doorknob,
If they did something like that, he would have been suspended in midair. That's right. He was suspended in midair.
Okay.
Huh? The killer tied up Nekomaru with the wire while he was in sleep mode. Tied the tip of the wire into a knot and hung it on the doorknob to the 4th floor. With that, they moved the elevator from the 4th floor to the 1st floor of Great Tower. And suspended Nekomaru in midair.
And what would that have accomplished exactly?
That's right! He was so well hung! Kinda like...
Don't say it.
You better not finish that sentence!
The killer took advantage of the elevator's unique feature. Only the floor moves. By doing that, they created a drop so Nekomaru could fall to his death.
Too easy. So what if they created a drop? There's no way you can make him fall and die with just that. Why? If Nekomaru is suspended in midair like that, then how do you get him to fall? Because if he's suspended in midair, he won't die if he doesn't actually fall.
That's a good point. Radio clock, clock's alarm timer. Wait, what? This is gonna be hard, I have a feeling. I'm not sure what they're going for here. Is it something having to do with the alarm?
Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a... How would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
It doesn't mean someone had to push him off. It's possible that he fell on his own.
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right? If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to him. Now's the time if you want to put in that case. You still won't be able to explain the drop. Moving the elevator with Nekomaru is just impossible. End of story.
Hold on, thanks to Kazuichi, I think I figured out how the killer dropped Nekomaru. Does that have something to do with when he woke up, so the alarm? Alright, if I use that evidence, I should be able to break through Kazuichi's remarks too.
Nekomaru fell on his own?
Not that.
Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right?
Allow me to cut through those words.
Okay. I'm not sure how they're doing this.
What do you think would happen if Nekomaru woke up while he was suspended upside down in midair?
He'd probably be like, what the hell?
What are you saying? Like, how would he even wake up?
He has an alarm inside his body. As long as it was armed, it would have deactivated his sleep mode. Which means the killer set the alarm before they suspended Nekomaru.
But how would they have done that? How are they going to even know how to do that? Now I'm back to thinking Nekomaru did this himself, but this is a really convoluted way to go about it.
If you woke up from an alarm and realized you were hanging upside down and had no clue why, if something like that happened to you, you would start panicking a lot, right? Instinctively, your body would start moving. Nekomaru probably did exactly that.
And then, in order to make him fall from the force he was generating, the wire was hung on the tip of the doorknob so it would easily slip off. In actuality, the scrape marks caused by the wire were near the tip of the doorknob, right?
Actually, it looks like there's more towards the middle, but okay.
But Nekomaru didn't fall because the wire came off, right?
He fell because the entire doorknob came off.
When Nekomaru awoke, he must have struggled much more than expected, which caused the doorknob to break off.
Was that unexpected for the killer too?
Well, that's probably it. If they knew it'd leave behind evidence like that, they would have at least tried to do something to cover it up.
Killer didn't expect the doorknob to come off. The reason that even happened was because... in that case, I shall use my full power. With a fierce roar, Nekomaru put all his power into grabbing the doorknob with both hands. But Not yet. Here it comes. The incredible strength of 1 million horsepower. He weakened it beforehand when he was trying to get this door open. Is that it? Wait, isn't it creaking? If you break off the doorknob, we'll be stuck in here. That's why it fell. He was messing with it before. If that's really what it was, then that's the clue Nekomaru left for us to find. Well, I don't think he did it on purpose.
I see. So that's how Nekomaru fell to his death.
Do you finally understand now?
Yeah. It appears it's just as Miss Sonia said. I'm just a pest. No, I'm not just a pest. I'm a total fucking pig.
Where's this coming from?
Isn't that right, Miss Sonia? If I'm a fucking pig, you can say so.
What the hell, dude?
No, I believe you gave your all.
Hey, why aren't you teasing me anymore?
This guy, he gets off on this. So thanks to that alarm, Nekomaru ended up falling while he was still hanging upside down. That doesn't mean he just crashed straight into the floor. Of course, you know that too, right?
He must have somehow crashed into the pillar? Doesn't mean Nekomaru crashed straight into the floor. The moment Nekomaru fell to his death, the only thing I could think of that happened to him was the wire got loose, he ran out of battery, cola came out of his eyes. He collided with the pillar.
I see!
When Nekomaru fell to the floor, he ended up colliding with the pillar. Isn't that it?
Finally, the pillar!
So that's how the pillar shattered, and why oil was spilled all over the place.
See, I told you the pillar was the weapon. My gut was totally right.
Well, the pillar was a bonus. It's not even clear if the killer intended that, or if it was just a coincidence.
At this point, it is quite difficult to find a clue that will lead to the killer.
Then what about the alarm? I'm positive the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m. And if we map it out from there...
Hold on, baby gangsta.
Stop calling me baby gangsta!
What'd you just say? Did you say the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.?
You didn't check it yourself? Nekomaru's alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nah, that's impossible. Because even though I slept in a little, I still got to the tower at 7 in the morning. Now that you mention it, so did I. There was no way I could be late for Monokuma Tai Chi, so I left for Grape Tower before 7 a.m.
And if we found Nekomaru's body there, it would have been before the 7:30 a.m. alarm went off.
It appears yet another contradiction has been birthed.
I think the clocks were messed with.
How were you able to discover Nekomaru died at 7:30 a.m. when you went to the tower at 7?
Because remember, his internal clock can't be wrong.
That's what I want to know.
Another mystery I don't understand. Seriously, it's just one after another. But I can't choke up at a time like this. Just a little more and I'll be able to reach the truth. There should definitely be a clue to breaking through this contradiction. This got something to do with his chest clock, maybe. I'm gonna go with his radio clock. For a moment.
We headed for Grape Tower. Before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
It's sad.
That's gotta be it!
That's what Akane said at the end. They couldn't have because it's a radio clock. It has to be right. The alarm that caused Nekomaru's death rang at 7:30 a.m., but we discovered his body before 7 a.m. I need to crush one possibility at a time if I'm going to break through this contradiction.
We headed for Grape Tower. Before 7 a.m.,
I will say one thing while I'm going through this. There's not been a lot of times where I've had to absorb bullets, I've noticed.
Was set for 7:30
There
a.m.
were a lot more of those in the last game.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
killer probably did some tampering.
Alright, it's what she says at the end.
They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
No, that's wrong.
No, the clock inside his chest was a radio clock, so it would have been impossible to mess with.
So you're saying there's no way the killer could have tampered with the clock?
Maybe the clock Miss Sonia saw was the one that got tampered with.
The clock inside Grape House?
No, I checked all the clocks inside the funhouse.
Oh, that's what I asked you to do. So you really listened to me and checked all the clocks.
And because of that, I can confidently declare that all the clocks had the same time displayed.
If there's no possibility that the time was tampered with, then we must doubt that human's testimony.
Please believe me, we are not lying.
Then maybe it's a misunderstanding?
I never misunderstand. I'll crush you into dog food.
It's time-related contradiction. I don't think I should doubt the testimonies. I should doubt the clock. There's no mistake that something was done, but what was it? Perhaps we've overlooked something. Maybe we're misunderstanding something. Think. If I focus and think, I should be able to find the answer to that mystery. Logic dive. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going with this. I'm thinking the clocks were tampered with, but I don't know how. Oh boy. Alright, so far so good. Question 1. What did Hajime and the others misunderstand? Who the killer is, where the murder happened, the time in the building. It's the time in the building, we're talking about that. That was easy. Oh crap. Oh god, that was close. What? I went through that. I went right through that. Let's try this again. Question 2. Which clock was tampered with? The building's clocks. Nekomaru's clock is fine. We already went over that. Oh god. I'll have the jump positions here. Alright, question 3. Which house had the wrong time? Both houses, right? That's what I'm thinking. Okay, that wasn't bad other than me falling through the ground back there.
It's all coming together.
You said you checked all the clocks inside the building. Isn't that right, Fuyuhiko?
Yeah, none of the clocks had the wrong time.
But what if all those clocks have been messed with?
What? All the clocks?
So even if you checked all the clocks inside the building, there's no way you'd have noticed it.
I see. So the killer messed with the time inside the whole building by changing all the clocks.
So that's what it was. There's no way I would have noticed that.
This is truly fantastic!
Now's not the time to be pleased. More importantly, how much was the time off?
She's right, that's the main problem. I need to clarify by how much the time was off after the killer messed with the clocks. That's definitely the next mystery. I'm going to reach the truth in one go. Alright. Kane Fuyuhiko, contact elevator, Nagito's. Was it Nagito's what? Sudden appearance.
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru.
Hold on. Pause everything because I don't remember what Akane's account was. Apparently Akane heard a rumbling noise at around 5:30 a.m. That's making me think it's her. It's Akane's account.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be? In our time.
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow that down? If only I heard the sound when he fell. It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
He's not the type to let out a scream.
If only Nekomaru's alarm was loud enough, we would have heard it too.
She heard it.
There's no point in saying that. If does not exist in this world.
How much did the killer adjust the time inside the building? How would I even figure that out?
If the time in the building was all messed up,
I think it's one of the
then we
last
can
things
only
there.
rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
She was hearing a sound,
Problem is,
remember?
what time would 7:30 be? In our time.
Wait. She heard a rumbling noise at around 5:30. A rumbling noise wouldn't have been his alarm going off. So she heard him fall, right? If it's a rumbling noise, it's not the alarm going off. So she might have heard him fall at 5:30.
Are there any clues that can be used to
What
narrow
comes
that
up
down?
here?
If only I heard the sound when he fell.
That?
It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
It's not the scream.
He's not the type to let out a scream.
Only Nekomaru's alarm was loud enough.
Yeah, it's not
We
the
would have heard
alarm.
it too.
There's no point in saying that.
It's Sonia, what she says.
If does not exist in this world.
That makes sense to me anyway. So we'll try that.
Can be used to narrow that down? If only I heard the sound when he fell.
There we go.
I agree with that. That's right. We should have heard the sound he made when he fell. Wasn't it that rumbling noise?
Rumbling?
I thought it was just an earthquake, so I went back to sleep. Was that the sound from when Nekomaru fell?
Well, a huge body fell from the 4th floor to the 1st, and the pillar fell with it. It's obvious we'd hear the impact sound.
We heard that noise too.
It was when we were gathered at the Strawberry House Lounge. What is it, Sonia?
Oh, well. That sound everyone heard? I did not hear it at all.
Huh?
You probably didn't hear it because you were sleeping.
I could not sleep at all. I was awake the whole night with hunger pangs.
There's nothing to worry about. What's important is that rumbling noise anyway.
If we use that rumbling sound as a reference, we might be able to figure out how much our time was off.
I heard that sound probably around 5:30 in the morning.
Huh? You can tell?
I instantly woke up and left my room. And that's when I saw the clock in the lounge.
Excellent work, Akane!
That rumbling sound we heard was at 5:30 a.m. It's like the answer to how much our time was off is literally right in front of me, 2 hours, because this clock said 7:30.
I see! Nekomaru's alarm went off at 7:30, and if we heard the sound of his impact at 5:30, that means our time was off by 2 hours.
2 hours? That much?
His alarm went off while he was hanging from the doorknob. Then he fell, and the rumbling sound would have been like a little bit after that.
We were starving pretty badly. There's no way we would have noticed.
That makes sense.
Plus, the funhouse has no windows. And there weren't any Monokuma announcements either.
However, for what reason did the killer alter our perception of time?
The reason is obvious, so they can lure out just Nekomaru.
Lure out only Nekomaru.
If you messed with the clocks and used a specific thing, you definitely get Nekomaru to the tower alone, right?
But if the clock said 5:30, then why would he go to the tower that early?
From there, the killer's plan was a splendid success. That's all it means.
Besides messing with the time, the killer also used a specific thing. If they were trying to lure only Nekomaru, then that specific thing is clock's alarm, rumbling noise, massage time, Monokuma Tai Chi.
I see!
That's it. The killer made use of the Monokuma Tai Chi activity in the morning.
So he was going at 7 o'clock because his internal clock was telling him the right time, whereas nobody else went because to everybody else it would have been 5 o'clock.
How did they use it?
We were required to go to Great Tower every morning at 7 a.m. for that activity, right? But if they messed with all the clocks inside the building, what would that do to us?
We wouldn't be able to attend on time. That wouldn't affect Nekomaru. His radio clock had the exact time.
That's right. In doing so, the killer was able to lure him to the tower by himself at the precise time.
Then, when I witnessed Nekomaru early in the morning...
If I recall, you witnessed Nekomaru around 5 a.m. And if that time was also 2 hours off, it should have been 7 a.m. Yeah, that's pretty much it. At that time, he was heading over to Monokuma Tai Chi, right on schedule.
I see. Now that I think about it, I realize what Monokuma meant when he said those words.
Too early! He didn't even ask you yet!
Jeez, how outrageous. I honestly didn't expect everyone to ditch Monokuma Tai Chi. But it turned out like this after all, so I guess it can't be helped. Yeah, I did think that was weird the way he said that.
When you said everyone, you were including us, right? We thought we came to the tower on time, but in truth, it was way past the meeting time.
Ah, jeez! That's, well, how should I put it? What was it? You know, tripping over a foot, or something like that.
Are you talking about tripping over someone else's fault?
Wrong! Too bad!
Liar! I'm right!
That's not it! It's incorrect!
That's definitely the correct answer. You always get so stubborn like this.
Let's just ignore the peanut gallery. Now that we've found out how the killer lured Nekomaru, the number of suspects has drastically decreased.
Has it? Huh?
Hey, how did that decrease the number of suspects? Don't be a friggin' liar!
You'll know I'm not lying when you listen to what Fuyuhiko's going to say next.
Huh? What the hell do you mean?
You witnessed Nekomaru going toward the tower. Did something else happen after that?
Are you talking about that alarm?
Alarm?
A little while after I witnessed Nekomaru, the clock in the Strawberry House lounge started going off. Plus, it was just before that rumbling sound occurred. That's it. So that's what it is. If Nekomaru died when the rumble happened, then whoever doesn't have an alibi at the time is the prime suspect.
Nekomaru died when a rumble happened, and whoever doesn't have an alibi. Well, we know Kazuichi, Gundam, and Fuyuhiko were there, but it wasn't... Sonia said she didn't hear it, but didn't Nagito say he didn't either? But if Sonia was lying, wouldn't she just say that she heard the rumble? Because why would she pretend she didn't?
Really? Was there anyone who didn't have an alibi at that time?
Remember now. The sound was so loud I couldn't help bolting from my room. But there was one guy who never left the lounge.
One guy who never left the lounge. They're talking about Nagito.
We were both on the same floor. It's pretty weird that bastard never came out of his guest room.
Which means that person does not have an alibi for when Nekomaru fell?
Who is it? Who's the bastard?
Then that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's whoever doesn't have an alibi for that time, right? And it's Nagito, right?
You're the only one!
The one who wasn't there. It's you, right, Nagito?
That's right. Nagito wasn't there. It was just me, Gundam, and Fuyuhiko.
You didn't come out, even though the alarm was going off like crazy. You weren't in your room, were you?
If that's the case, where were you?
Please, say something!
If you don't hurry up and answer, I'm gonna suicide dive you!
If I may be frank, even if I wanted to go to the lounge, I couldn't.
You couldn't? What do you mean?
It's merely the foolish talk of the weak.
Not only did I not hear the alarm, I never even heard that rumbling sound.
He couldn't.
You're definitely fucking lying.
However, that is also true for me.
What do they have in common?
It is obvious that I did not hear the alarm in Strawberry House. But I did not hear the rumbling sound either. Is that not strange? I mean, everyone else heard it. To be honest, it's not just them. The same goes for me too.
What room was Nagito in? Because those two were in the deluxe rooms, because Akane was in one of the crappy rooms, and Hajime went there too because they made a point of the fact that nobody was in the standard room. Because I thought it was weird why he wouldn't just go to the standard room.
I was in a pretty deep sleep, so I thought that's why I couldn't hear it. But
So the deluxe rooms must be soundproof or something.
it wasn't that. I probably couldn't hear it at all.
Couldn't hear it? What does that mean?
You still don't know. Think about what the three of us who didn't hear a sound have in common, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
The only people who didn't hear the rumbling noise were Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki. The secret is what these three have in common. Could this also be the secret that points to the killer? Wait. Deluxe rooms, maybe? Clearing some of the stuff out. E. I need more U's. I need an S, but not for a while. Need an R. I need more E's. S. Got much better at that.
Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki. The three of you were staying in deluxe rooms, right? If I recall, the deluxe rooms are...
The guest rooms are divided by quality grade. The deluxe room is soundproof and has excellent air insulation. The standard room may have so-so insulation, but is still pretty decent. The crummy room has severe airflow and draft problems.
The reason we could not hear the rumbling noise.
The insulation.
That's right. It was because the deluxe rooms have superior sound insulation. You actually noticed that. Nice catch, Hajime. Are you using your ultimate reserve corps student talent?
Man, I can't wait to find out what it is that you're jealous about, because you got something going on.
Now then, you guys must understand by now, right? The true identity of Nekomaru's killer.
No.
Hold on a sec. Why does that lead to who the killer is?
Why? Well, That fact just now is a very important clue, and a decisive
Wait a minute.
factor in identifying the killer.
Wait. Who was in the other deluxe room? Because that means they must have come out. It's gotta be a guy. Was it Fuyuhiko? It can't be Fuyuhiko. No, Fuyuhiko was in a crappy room. Kazuichi was in a Gundam. Nuh-uh.
Decisive factor?
Somehow I feel like I understand what Nagito means. Killer among us. Killer who murdered Nekomaru. Is it seriously? Because I never in a million years would have guessed this.
You're the only one!
Oh my god.
Gundam, there's something I want to ask you. When the alarm rang at the Strawberry House Lounge, you rushed over there too, right?
What's wrong with that? If the bell of catastrophe rings throughout the night, it is the universe's providence to stop it.
Why were you able to hear it?
Hear what?
I mean, you were also staying in a deluxe room, right? Nagito was staying in a deluxe room in the same house on the same floor, and he couldn't even hear it. So why were you able to hear that alarm?
Wow.
Now that you mention it,
Gundam?
There is only one possibility. You weren't in your room at the time. That's why, even though you were staying in a deluxe room, you still went to the lounge. Am I right?
Gundam, you have some sort of explanation, right?
Gundam probably couldn't return to his room because of Fuyuhiko.
Because Fuyuhiko was awake.
Me?
After you saw Nekomaru heading to the tower, you stayed at the lounge for a while. Am I correct? Until the moment that alarm started ringing, right? If you were in the lounge for that long, the killer who had left earlier obviously wouldn't be able to go back.
Even though Nekomaru's murder was a death trap that utilized the alarm in his chest, the killer still needed to prepare the murder in advance.
like putting Nekomaru in sleep mode and tying him up with a wire.
In order to do that, the killer needed to be waiting for Nekomaru at the tower. Which means when Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru, the killer was already at the tower.
And once they tried to go back, they couldn't because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge.
And he's not even really arguing it.
In their original plan, the killer should have returned to their room before the alarm in the lounge went off. And they were supposed to stay in their room. They weren't planning to come out and go to the lounge.
Which means they wouldn't have heard the alarm or the rumbling sound, thus proving they were in the room, just like us.
The best case scenario would have been if those two in the lounge had gone and checked the deluxe rooms. After all, if they personally saw the killer sleeping in their room, it gives the killer a stronger alibi.
I had him pegged as somebody who was going to make it to the end of this.
Unfortunately, they failed to secure that alibi.
Because I was in the lounge.
So the killer couldn't go back to their room, and ended up hearing the lounge's alarm.
Hey, what are you doing? This ruckus is louder than the supreme ruler of the netherworld bellowing for a sacrifice. Don't go making all that noise so suddenly.
But why'd you come out? You should have hid till the excitement died down.
If Gundam tried to hide, and if those two went to his room to check on him, he would have been found out. That would have been the worst possible outcome. That's why he couldn't just stay hidden.
If those two had just checked the deluxe rooms as planned, that would have been ideal, but how ironic. The moment Fuyuhiko set foot in the lounge, your plan was doomed.
Gundam? Please,
Can you at least say something?
She's gonna be broken up a bit.
Answer me this, including myself in my 4 dark devas of destruction. How many ears do we possess?
Huh?
The answer is 10. That's right, I possess 10 ears. That means I have 5 times the hearing of a normal human. The soundproof system here may as well not exist.
Is that your argument?
You bastard! Do you understand the situation you're in right now?
Do not panic. The truth shall now commence. At the time, I left my room to go to the bathroom. By coincidence, I heard the alarm. That's right. That's all it was. The world is always so simple.
Are you saying it was just a coincidence? Isn't that timing a little too perfect?
And yet, I'm being suspected by all of you. It seems it was actually horrible timing on my part.
I see. You're still holding out. Well, you don't have to admit it. We're going to decide who the killer is with the majority vote anyway. So, why don't we just go ahead and start voting? It's obvious that Gundam is the killer.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That's making me think Gundam ain't the killer now, the fact that you're rushing things along.
Hold on a sec.
You know, Hajime, this class trial, this killing, it's merely the opening act, you know.
Hey! What do you mean a class trial is just the opening act?
Perhaps I should say, it's just a farce. Just a boring farce. So boring, so stressful. I'm so painfully bored that I might develop stomach ulcers.
This is getting good.
Seriously, let's just hurry up and finish this before I collapse from poor health.
Yeah, something's up. He's rushing this too quickly.
Nagito, something definitely happened to you, didn't it? At some point during the investigation, your behavior became even weirder. What actually happened? Did you discover something?
Well, let's just leave that fun for later. And finish this opening act already.
Ah, you said opening act again!
Please hold on! We have yet to hear Gundam's rebuttal!
But he's completely shut up. Perhaps he can't argue anymore.
Unless he had something else going on.
Gundam!
I was simply at a loss for words after being dumbfounded by your pathetic assumption. In fact, I shall deny the very basis. Your assumption has been wrong since the beginning.
Since the beginning?
Based on your assumption, I hung Nekomaru from the 4th floor of the tower and made the floor descend to the 1st floor. From there, after returning to Strawberry House, I was present when the alarm at the lounge went off, correct? Although going to and fro is busy enough as it is, how would I be able to travel between both houses anyway?
I see. The contact elevator was broken.
As I recall, the killer tampered with the Grape House control panel, which shut down the elevator. Plus, the stopped elevator should have been facing the Grape House side. If so, the human who used the elevator would have left it at Grape House. For these reasons, it's an indisputable fact that the killer destroyed the elevator at Grape House.
And what's wrong with that?
If the elevator was broken at Grape House, you wouldn't be able to return to Strawberry House.
However, I was already at Strawberry House. I was present when the alarm in the lounge started ringing. Which means your assumption is clearly wrong.
Are you serious? And here I thought it's already been decided.
Have you learned your lesson, pitiful humans? You cannot overcome this contradiction.
That's wrong. When something is obviously wrong, that's when a contradiction is born. There's no such thing as a contradiction that can't be overcome. Okay, hold up. Good night button, view Eco's account, wall clock, contact elevator, alarm, radio clock, broken doorknob.
That elevator was the only means of travel between the two houses.
Okay, that's what we gotta shoot,
As long as
but
that elevator was broken,
we might have to absorb something
your
here.
assumption collapses.
Plus, the elevator was broken at Grape House.
But the killer cannot return to Strawberry House.
Since I was at Strawberry House at that time, there's no question that the following crime is impossible.
It would have been different if they had an accomplice.
Or if there was a secret passageway.
How much longer do
I
you
need
plan to
that.
lecture me? Why don't we stop this already?
We need what Akane says. Secret passageway, and then there's something about not being able to travel. Contradiction is when something is obviously wrong. There's no contradiction. I can't shoot through. Going to find out what it is. For the sake of everyone's hope, I'll shoot through the contradiction. We need what Akane says.
That elevator was the only means of travel between the two houses.
I am starting to think he did it, because
As long as that elevator was broken,
I don't know how he wouldn't have.
your assumption collapses.
Plus, the elevator was broken at Grape House.
If he didn't do it, he sure made himself look
But the
guilty.
killer cannot
It would have been different if they had an
It's
accomplice.
coming.
Or if there was a secret passageway.
How much longer do you plan to lecture me? Why don't we stop this already?
Yeah, I'm really thinking Gundam did it. I don't know why Nagato's in a rush, but alright.
That elevator was
Need this.
the only means of travel between the two houses.
No, that's wrong.
There we go.
No, there should have been another way to move between the two houses without the elevator.
Such a method does not exist.
Then why don't we ask the person who actually used that method?
Select someone.
You're the only one! Nagito, you should know. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. You appeared so suddenly that one time because you used that method, right?
Nagito, why are you here? Because I showed up.
There's a secret passage connecting the first floor of Strawberry House to the third floor of Grape House. Isn't that right?
Jeez. Once again, I let the reserve course show up. But you're right. There's a door on the floor of the Octagon, which is on the first floor of Strawberry House. After I opened the door and went down... Surprise, surprise! I ended up in the Monokuma Archive, which is on the third floor of Grape House.
Meaning the third floor and the fourth floor are actually connected.
Plus, once you've cleared the final dead room once, you can pass through it as many times as you want.
If they used that secret passage, they could have gone between the two houses as much as they wanted.
Infinity Unlimited Flame!
Uh-huh.
However, what if the killer was unaware of the existence of the final dead room?
There's no way they didn't know.
Yeah, we talked about it with everybody, didn't we? Like, Monokuma told us about it.
That is merely an illusion you have fabricated from your own suspicion.
Man, Gundam, I actually didn't hate you.
If you value your life, you should stop with your scrutiny.
There's no way I can stop.
Did you say? Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Alright, this again. Wire, goodnight button, tipped over pillar. Oh, there's a lot of crap here. I can't absorb anything with this, can I? Okay.
Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities?
This is hard to get to. God darn it. Oh my... Oh, I can't slice. This argument is exhausting. Just listening to it makes me tired. This one's actually gonna be hard. Need to skillfully cut back against this word so he does not paste me. This has diagonals in it. I've not had to mess with them too much so far.
Even if the turbid box doesn't exist,
It's really hard to do diagonals on a keyboard.
provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities?
Oh man, this is gonna be hard. I can't just cut willy-nilly. This is diagonal on a keyboard. It's not easy.
Even if the turbid box doesn't exist, you could travel through multiple planes, provided you use a spacious wormhole. However, how frail I say! Your decayed illusion. Shall I feed you to the progeny of vile deities?
Oh man, that was
I
rough.
already proved the secret passage exists. The secret passage was at the Octagon.
Know the limits of your own reasoning. You say the killer went to the Octagon. Don't bark, you cur! If you don't want to drown him, at least pray to the key which dwells in the light.
Probably means try providing the evidence that the killer went to the Octagon, right? Okay, so one of the items that was with Nekomaru then. That's the case, I should have it too. Key which dwells in the light that will break through darkness.
Know the limits of your own reasoning.
Wire?
You say the killer went to the Octagon.
Wire's the only thing that...
You cur! If you don't want to drown in the maelstrom
That? Because that's the only thing he says, right? Okay. Yeah, the wire.
The wire used to string up Nekomaru's body. The hammer that looked like the weapon, and the chain on the door in the tower. Those are all the items that weren't in Funhouse. Where did the killer obtain them?
The only place I can think of is the Octagon. There were various weapons and tools there. I'm pretty sure I saw stuff like wires, hammers, and chains too.
Since those items were used in the crime, there's no doubt that the killer went to the Octagon.
If that's the case, they obviously know about the secret passage too, right?
I'm not seeing how this ties into the fourth case in the first game, though.
It seems this is the end.
Like, for a minute I was thinking maybe Akane had something to do with it, because Hina in the first game was friends with Sakura and was basically trying to say it was her the whole time.
Normally we'd end up listening to Hajime lecture us with a very long summary of the case. But there's no reason to waste any more time on this opening act. So I'm going to end this right now.
Then again, he keeps trying to rush.
Hey, what are you...
First of all, by messing with all the clocks in the building, Gundam tried to lure only Nekomaru. The elevator was probably broken by that point. Thanks to that, Nekomaru wasn't able to go to Grape Tower, which was supposed to be the meetup point. So he tried going over to Strawberry Tower, just like we did when we found out the elevator was broken. Well, it's obvious he'd attempt that. At that time, we didn't know the two towers were the exact same place. Also, the button in Strawberry Hall wasn't broken, so he was easily able to enter Strawberry Tower. But surprise! Gundam was waiting for Nekomaru's arrival.
Hold on. If Nekomaru didn't go to Strawberry Tower, what would the killer have done then?
Nothing.
Their plan was a balancing act of uncertainties, but even if they failed, they probably wouldn't have minded. They can just greet everyone the next morning as if nothing happened, and come up with a different plan.
And without such a risky plan, they wouldn't have been able to lure him at all.
I'm going to continue summarizing the case, okay? Through this, Gundam successfully lured Nekomaru to Strawberry Tower. There's no way he could fight head-on with the robotic Nekomaru, so by pressing the goodnight button, he rendered Nekomaru powerless without fighting him.
How'd he do that?
Hold on! What did you just say? That I didn't battle?
What's wrong with that?
Don't mess with me!
Oh man, you did do it.
Don't mess with me! I cannot ignore those words!
Why are you angry all of a sudden?
You fools do not understand! You don't understand at all! Ha! You make me laugh! After all this time, you still don't understand anything at all!
I don't understand anything. What does that mean?
It appears I cannot finish just yet. Maybe I'm just a human destined for hell. However, I cannot finish just yet. I cannot finish!
Have you seen a doctor about that?
What do you intend to do?
It's obvious! I'm going to destroy your illusory assumptions!
Are you saying you still have more? You still have room to argue?
Your words. You said I pressed Nekomaru's goodnight button. However, that button was on the back of Nekomaru's neck. To press it, I'd have to get behind him.
Can't you use your hamsters?
It's not easy to get the drop on Coach Nekomaru.
It's even more difficult if it's a one-on-one situation.
It wouldn't be one-on-one then.
Just as I thought. Truly frail. Succumbing so easily to this simple argument. It was just a mere illusion. If you want to set me up as the killer, at least surpass your own human limitation.
You used your little hamsters to do that, didn't you?
That's wrong, Gundam. You're the one who's wrong.
Such a wonderful line. However, I cannot say that I'm satisfied. Listen well. I shall teach you 2 tips for making someone admit their defeat. First, you must crush them with your own overwhelming power. And as for the other, you must provide a reason that will persuade that human. You have not fulfilled either of those yet.
I guess you really don't want to admit it. Then, just as you requested, I will provide an argument that will leave you no choice but to be persuaded. Oh, this. Okay.
I won't let you! For the Tanaka Empire! Wither! Crushed as David prophesies! I won't let you! For the Tanaka Empire! Wither! Crushed as David prophesies! Show me the cadaver! I won't let you! For the Tanaka Empire! Wither! Crushed as David prophesies! I won't let you! For the Tanaka Empire! Wither! Crushed as David prophesies! It's Nekomaru's back!
The
Do you
4
really think I
dark
can get behind him
devils.
so easy?
This is the end!
I feel like I was running out of bullets a lot quicker there. I don't know why.
Even if you didn't get behind Nekomaru, you should have been able to press the button on the back of his neck. As long as you have the power of the hamsters you keep with you.
Are you seriously saying he used his hamsters to press the button on the back of Nekomaru's neck?
Of course that'd be impossible for a normal hamster, but it would have been possible for Gundam. In fact, we saw that with our very own eyes, right?
Yeah, because didn't they mess with the strawberry tower button to open it earlier? Emissary of Evil, in accordance with our ancient contract, the time has come to lend me your aid. Pierce through, Supernova Silver Fox Sandy. Press the button. Truly, this is a skyline lamentation art of the Demon Mouse. Soon the door of destiny shall open.
Now that you mention it, after Ibuki was killed in the music venue, one of Gundam's hamsters retrieved a piece of wallpaper from the baton lighting, right? Hey, with your friends and their exceptionally smart brains, it must have been possible to secretly get one of them behind Nekomaru and press the button on the back of his neck.
How about it, Gundam?
Not just myself, but you actually brought up how splendid my subordinates are. I have no recourse but to admit it.
Admit it? Did you say you admit it?
It appears I've obtained a one-way ticket to hell. Fine! Then you must trample me underfoot and advance. Victory can only be built upon a foundation of corpses. You cannot find peace without sacrifice anywhere. Now, trample this life. Trample it as though it were mere trash on the side of the road.
Though I won't necessarily miss your weird monologues.
Pull the curtain strings of this worthless performance with your own two hands.
Oh, this, okay. Aha, Nagito, I get to do it anyway. Alright. He's messing with a lot of clocks here. Who set the lounge clock's alarm? I don't think we have that. We don't need that because that's right there. We don't need that because that's right there. So it's these three that we have to mess with right now. Who was in the lounge since early this morning? We don't have that yet, I don't think. What time did we go see Nekomaru? 5:30, so that's that. There he is walking. He salutes. There's Gundam with his hamsters. He sends them off. We turn off his switch. Nekomaru's weakness is... Okay, we don't have that yet either. That's the chess clock. He's messing with it. There's the doorknob. He's tying that right there, so that's that. Killer destroyed. Don't need that yet. There he is going back. Put the chain up. What was the fake weapon left at the tower? We don't have that yet. Comes back. He can't get to his room. He's panicking. There's the clock for Fuyuhiko. Fuyuhiko's trying to turn the thing off because it starts ringing. Alright, that's that first stock. Now, let's go back because there's a lot back here. Who set the lounge clock's alarm? I don't see anything there about an alarm. Who was in the lounge? I'm not seeing anything about that. Killer destroyed what after leaving the tower? Wait a minute, wasn't there a thing about they left something? What was the fake weapon? Here we go. He left the hammer. Nekomaru wakes up, he's struggling. The handle came off. He falls, he hits the pillar. Which is that, so we don't need that. We don't need that because that's a Kane. Who heard the rumbling noise? That would be Hajime. Stock 3. Okay. Who set the lounge clock's alarm? Who was in the lounge since early this morning? We don't have that one, I don't think. Nekomaru's weakness. I don't see that on there. There's a lot to this one. Killer destroyed what after leaving the tower? Okay, we don't need that one because that's there. We don't need that one, so we need these three. Who set the lounge's clock? That's not that, is it? Or is that? Oh, wait a minute. They did what to the alarm in Nekomaru's chest? That's going to be up here. Okay, we don't need that one because that one's there, so we need to do something with this one. Killer destroyed what after leaving the tower? That. Last stock. Okay, who was in the lounge since early morning? Fuyuhiko. The hamster. Nekomaru's weakness. That's it.
Here's everything that happened in this
Wasn't
case.
bad.
Let's first go over the many tricks the killer prepared before they committed the crime. First, they destroyed the contact elevator. This separated Nagito and the others in Strawberry House from our group in Grape House. Next, they lured Nekomaru out by himself by turning back all the clocks in the funhouse by 2 hours. Additionally, in order to secure an alibi, the killer went to the Strawberry House Lounge and set the wall clock's alarm to 5:30 a.m. After finishing their preparations, the killer went to Strawberry Tower with the necessary tools in hand. They obtained these tools from the Octagon, which you can enter once you clear the final depth. This means the killer discovered the secret of the funhouse faster than anybody else. That secret being, Strawberry House and Grape House are actually the same building. On the morning of the incident, Nekomaru woke up and headed over to Great Tower for a specific reason. There, Fuyuhiko, who was at the lounge by coincidence, witnessed Nekomaru. According to Fuyuhiko's testimony, that was around 5 a.m., but by that point, the killer had already messed with our perception of time. In actuality, Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru at 7 a.m. That's also the same time Monokuma Taichi begins. Nekomaru went to Grape Tower to participate in that. However, because the contact elevator was broken, Nekomaru was unable to go to Grape Tower. So he decided to try going to Strawberry Tower. But the killer was waiting for him there. With the power of hamsters, they were able to press the good night button on the back of Nekomaru's neck. This forced him to enter sleep mode, rendering him immobile. From there, the killer began preparing to use the ultimate weapon. First, they set the alarm in Nekomaru's chest to 7:30 a.m. so he'd wake up. Then they tied him up with a metal wire, tied the tip of the wire into a loop, and hung it on the doorknob.
I'm thinking about this way too much, but how would Gundam know how to operate the alarm on his chest clock? Like, he's lucky it was something that he was able to figure out simply.
After leaving Strawberry Tower, the killer then destroyed the door button to Strawberry Hall.
And that's another thing about this too, man. Gundam really thought this through. This is very elaborate.
They did this to keep us from entering Strawberry Tower, and to keep us from discovering the secret of the building structure that they used to kill Nekomaru.
This is one of the most involved killings we've had in either game.
Then, they used the secret Octagon passageway to travel to Grape House. After arriving at Grape Hall, they pressed the button to open the door to the tower. When that happened, the elevator-like floor of the tower began descending, and Nekomaru's body was still inside, dangling upside down in midair from the wire. The killer entered Grape Tower to see if their setup was successful. And placed a hammer on the floor to look like the weapon, then wrapped a chain around the back door. This was done to make us falsely believe we couldn't enter the tower from Strawberry Hall. With this, the killer finished their setup and tried to go back to their room using the secret passage.
Like, I'd be confusing myself trying to put this thing together. Like, wait, what tower am I in? Where am I at? What side?
So they could craft their alibi when Nekomaru died from the fall. But something unexpected happened. Fuyuhiko, who saw Nekomaru earlier, was still at the lounge. As a result, the killer couldn't return to their room, and with no options available, time ran out. The lounge's wall clock alarm started ringing at 5:30. Well, actually 7:30. To avoid a worst-case scenario, the killer was forced to appear in front of Fuyuhiko with the others. When the wall clock's alarm rang, that was also the same time Nekomaru was waking up. He woke up while he was still hanging upside down, so he couldn't help but sway his body powerfully. Originally, the loop of wire was only supposed to slip off the doorknob, but because there was a heavier load than expected, the doorknob ended up breaking. Nekomaru fell from the 4th floor all the way to the 1st floor.
We'll say that was kind of a risk, assuming that that would kill him. I mean, he is a robot. There's a good chance he could have survived something like that.
He crashed into the pillar, which decapitated him on impact, and died. The sound of Nekomaru's impact echoed throughout the funhouse. However, by this point, the killer's plan was about to fail, thanks to the broken doorknob and Fuyuhiko. Meaning, the killer is someone who wouldn't have heard the alarm if they were in the deluxe room. They also wouldn't have been able to return to the guest room, because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge. That someone is Gundam Tanaka. I can't think of anyone else but you.
Damn, does that mean his hamsters are gonna get executed too? Because that's sad.
That was splendid. For a mere human, you did quite well.
Stop. Stop it already. Stop using weird words to avoid the truth. Or I'll friggin' kill you myself!
I cannot believe it. I just cannot believe. You killed Nekomaru? I cannot believe something like that.
You don't wish to forgive me? Do you feel regret? Then finish it! Cast your impure votes for Gundam Tanaka! My beloved, deadly foes, let the voting time begin!
He's very straightforward about all this. Phew, another one down. I feel like I should have done good on this one. I had a couple slip-ups on logic dies, but that was it. Got an A. I thought that was going to be a lot harder than what it ended up being. Really wasn't that bad.